Okay, welcome to our top 10 photographers of the year, our selections. Super excited to see, I don't know, some new photographers. I think this is the one category where, I mean, obviously all of them, we see people, the same names pop up, but the photographer of the year one is really tough because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of being out there all the time. And so a lot of the same people appear to us, so we get to recognize their work, we get to see improvement and all that stuff. So it's been really fun to see some even new names pop up who from people who had a spectacular year and seeing improvement in places. We are going to kind of go through these like we've been doing with the other categories this year, where we're not going to talk about every image. We're going to talk about like one or two and then move on to the next person. And then for our finalists, we will be going over more detail, all the images in each portfolio. So we're just going to start off with this portfolio, which has, to me, like just some great variety and epic tornadoes, northern lights, upward lightning. So, I mean, this has just got some really great variety. And I thought I'd just highlight this one because I think we do a lot of, in our past videos, we talk a lot about, hey, if you're going to take a middle of the road shot, go ahead and be right in the middle of the road. And so I appreciate that this tornado is not only right down the middle of the road, but the photographer is down the middle of the road. And that's tough for people because some people will just stand a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. And so anyway, I really appreciated that of this one. Did you all have anything in this category you want or this portfolio that you'd want to talk about?
I like number 6.
Yeah.
I think it's I like that this photographer included this image because it's not necessarily one that you would expect, but it feels very planes chasing. And I think that you get enough of the motion of the winds in the grasses. And obviously we've got a windmill back there. It gives a feeling without it being overt, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's really quite something to have one windmill by itself where smaller ones are all in the distance. And this one's kind of isolated. It's very like it's kind of minimalistic in a way with this, where it's just the green and the windmill and the clouds. And I really like it. All right, we will go to the next one. And Dennis, anything here you want to talk about?
I see some familiar storms there. Yeah. Then, let's start with number 2.
Number 2. Oof.
Yeah. This one, I remember. I think it's Hammond, Oklahoma Day or so. Very powerful inflow jet on this time. So, the technique on this, great. It was a bit hazy, but the structure, the post-processing here in this one is very good. So it handled here, the photographer handled it very well, because I remember getting a sharp photo at this time of the storm was so challenging because we've crazy inflow on this day. Just go back to the overview, please. The variety is great. We have polar lights, aurora. We have a portrait format photo. We have nighttime photos, lightning, motherships, and stuff. Just for example, number 5.
Yes.
Please click this one. This I love this one is just illuminated by the lightning, just so much that you can see what is going on, but nothing too crazy bright. And I remember that night very good.
It was, and this one actually, this night actually, the inflow winds were really strong too. And it was, I would say it's very, like, even the shots I got, I mean, I posted 1 or 2, but it was tough to get a really good in focus shot because of how dark it was. Even though this lightning would light it up, it was tough. And so I really love that this person found a nice foreground that's very balanced.
Mm.
And the colors are really well done in this, because at nighttime with the lightning flashing, you can get crazy on the purples and all that kind of stuff. And this feels really balanced.
Yeah. But overall, a great set. And it seems to be a great chase season for the photographer. Yeah.
Very upset that no,
let's not talk about the
let's
not talk about June and July.
No? Yeah, I think that might be August, and that was even worse.
Even August.
August 14th. Oh, yeah. Okay, Jennifer, anything of this one that you really liked? Oh, good. August storm is here too.
Yeah, there's definitely, if you're talking about having a style and a voice, this is a really good example of a photographer who, despite this being over 6 different days, has a very clear voice as an image maker. So I really respect that. Everyone has different styles and different preferences, and but I think this is very stylistic, and I think there's a very clear feeling through this entire collection of images. And it's so interesting that you can make so many deep, moody images on all these different days. So I think it speaks to the technical choices that this photographer makes, and I think that's really interesting.
No, for sure. And we've obviously seen this photographer almost every year probably, and the moodiness, I just love it, And one image I would just highlight is, like I was just saying, please be in the middle of the road if you're going to shoot the middle of the road. But this one works because person is really low and shooting like at an angle, and the storm is a little more off to the left. And it's like, hey, if you can't shoot down the middle, do something different. And I never get this low on a road. And that little light coming down the road from a car reflecting off the pavement is just a nice little touch. So the style is there. I really love the color on this one. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know, like you see the tornado and it's really cool. Like, this is really fantastic. But this, like the colors and the landscape and just the softness of the light and the moodiness is just, I just really love this portfolio. All right, I'm gonna go to this next one. Woo! Just very jealous of all these incredible scenes that this person saw. I mean, absolutely spectacular year. I mean, we talked about this tornado photo in, I think, the tornado photos of the year. Just the fact that this person was there where not very many people were. All these different scenes, obviously took some chances going to the desert Southwest. I think I heard something, some discussion on Twitter because of our storm photo contest Twitter account, X account, whatever, that this person who got this one was there for 7 days waiting for the shot and finally got it. So a lot of, I think what we look at for, this category is how much work it takes as well. Like, you need to have the variety and the quality and all that stuff, but just, you can just tell. I think from like a few years ago, Jim Tang was one of our winners, and you could just, the work and the amount of effort he went into to just be, I don't know, from Iowa to Montana to the desert Southwest to wherever to get these variety images. That's a lot of work. And that's the whole point of this category, is to just show that variety and effort. I mean, to get a almost circular rainbow with a lightning bolt, I mean, anyway, that's even hard to get just because of the fact that this rainbow is so close that it's probably kind of raining where they are. And to not get a lot of rain spots and all that is pretty tough. So anybody else have anything about this one?
I feel like you covered it. It's a really nice variety also, which I appreciate. Like classic tornado shots and structure and lightning, like lots of good things to look at.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to this one. again, pretty nice variety on this one. Dennis, any thoughts?
Yeah. For me, it's important if you can see consistency in your processing. I don't mean that every picture looks the same, but that you can control your style over and over again on different images. So you have, yeah, there's a complicated German word for this, and I don't get it in English now. But I think you get the point.
Yes.
And that's the point here. The photographer can create pictures. If you puzzle them all over the contest, you can tell this might be the same photographer. So,
Yep.
And the variety on the storms itself, you have great Mamedes display at sunset with the golden glow. You have supercells with lightning. You have supercells with lightning, blue hour, tornado shots, structure shots, all you can ask for. So
yeah. Even a lightning caused wildfire. I do think that when I look on this one, I do think there's a tornado in this one.
There's even the tornado, yeah.
So that's even more spectacular, especially at night. That's really tough, with the I mean, this is spectacular.
Yeah, and the exposure that you don't have motion blur on the clouds and stuff.
Yeah.
Because especially on this one, yeah. Very well done. Great set. One of my favorites.
Really agree.
Can we look at number 2?
Yeah, number 2.
I just really love the perspective on this shot. It's like a dream. You wish you could always find a pull-off that looks like this.
Yeah.
And I just really like this one. As a storm chaser, there's something about this image that really connects for me in the experience of chasing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you've got this flying saucer looking thing right over the city, but you got a nice high view of it and you see traffic and cars, and
it's cool.
It's really cool. All this, I really love, like what you said, Dennis. I feel like there's a very nice consistency with all the images and a good variety. So, all right, we'll go to this one as well. I would say this one has got kind of like the similar style where, some of the others might have more muted colors. This one is definitely more like on the colorful, maybe slightly saturated side. Definitely a nice variety from just all kinds of different things. Aurora, tornadoes, church, supercell structure, windmills, lightning. A nice variety here. Jennifer, anything on this one?
I wish I saw all this stuff. I think I really appreciate the photographer's language of color here. As you were mentioning, it is a way to differentiate yourself. Your post-processing techniques really can speak to things that help you stand out as a photographer. And it does appear that we have consistency in that through this. That windmill image is really dreamy as well, those colors, and that's really interesting. Lots of good stuff. I like this collection a lot.
The lightning going behind the windmill is quite cool, I think, because it looks like it's almost emanating from it. And I appreciate this again from my own perspective, because I don't do enough of these kind of I would say almost experimental, where I'm just going to try this, crouch down low with the fence in front of me and a windmill and see what happens, And so I really appreciate when people do that. And this contest always makes me want to strive to try to do different things the coming year. And then I fall back into the old traps. All right, we'll go on to the next one. This is just gorgeous, gorgeous work. Unbelievable, like supercell structures and colors. And I think, again, Dennis, you might agree, but very consistent editing style.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that the photographer is trying to play with different foregrounds, different compositions, and that's adds to a very great selection. So it's not, you don't need to have 10 perfect pictures for this category, in my opinion. You need a great variety, a great selection, and the whole set needs to balance itself to push it on top. So, yeah. For example, the tornado number 8. The crop is different like the other pictures, but it's well balanced here. For me, this is one of my favorites from this set.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, it's a very good point because I was nearby as well on this and have a photo of it, and I found the crop on this image particularly was kind of tough because like a square crop works, and I don't always like a square crop with my stuff.
Yeah.
And but if you went a normal, it felt like there was a lot of space that was empty, and so it was like a real tough one to figure out. And I do like how this looks.
I'm not a big fan of the of a square crop, but in this case, it works very well, I think.
Yep. This is just a spectacular storm. I
it's
cannot.
amazing.
This has me excited for spring. Just seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. All right. We'll go to this one. Jennifer, any thoughts on this one?
Well, obviously we have a lot of quality here, and that always gets me really excited. We know all of our technical challenges in the field, and so when I see a photographer making images where they have a grasp on handling that well, it makes me happy. I mean, I could just list off all of the numbers that I love. I think number 2 is really interesting with the color, and number 10 also really interests me with the motion and the textures of the rain, and that little tornado doing its dance. I just think these are all well composed. I like the colors and the treatment, the processing, consistency, good variety inside of that consistency. So.
Well, and one thing, since we're talking about cropping on this tornado, it's interesting that I really enjoy this crop, even though the tornado is not like centered like the one-to-one crop we saw before, because they're the whatever view that they had, they're able to kind of get this gnarliness up here, and it frames it pretty well, and it makes it look more like a giant scene with a little tornado in it. And it's the same with this. Like some of these crops are ones I might not necessarily do, but then I'm like, well, this really works for me. And it's a different way of looking at it.
I would say so far, if we are talking about post-processing, that's one of the strongest sets, in my opinion, because consistency is all over the place. Nothing is too overdone, so everything is well balanced. And I appreciate this, especially in the number 1. I think that's the tornado in Southwest Oklahoma. I think I don't know exactly, but if the tornado is so dark, many people try to illuminate in post-processing the tornado, and it's overdone in many cases. So maybe, I don't mean it's too bright or so, but the quality is dropping in certain ways.
Yes, from the noise and stuff being introduced. Yeah.
And I like that this is not the case in this one. It's adding something to the picture that the tornado is such dark, because it's almost hiding in it, but you can, on the other side, you can clearly see it. So it's well balanced.
I was wondering, is this the El Dorado tornado?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, I love this. I'm glad you picked it. I mean, this photographer, obviously, the rainbow one with the tornado is like the highlight of this whole portfolio, I think. But this is just, I love that it's looming in there. I love that, like you said, that the shadows weren't brought up so much like would typically happen. And it's just a cool style, because this person has a style through all these that really fits that. It's almost like the one before a couple ago with the moodiness. Like it all works, and it's not trying too hard to make things happen where you don't need it to happen.
Yeah. And in almost every single image, the photographer is thinking about foreground composition, even if there are small elements which can distract your eye. He puts it in he or she, I don't know, in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So strong set, very strong set in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. 2 more. Oh, horses. I can only guess who this was because of the horses.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue.
Also,
No clue.
I do have to say that this person was with me in the car for like 2 of these because we went chasing one day. And I will say we were, especially for this photo, so I'll comment on this one, was very fun for us because we left Denver and we had no way to get to Nebraska, to the main target where everybody went. So we decided to chase a storm that went up in very East Colorado, and it took us probably 2.5 hours to finally catch up with it. And then we had to drop south, and this whole line went up, and then we were treated to this. And it was very nice because we started seeing the photos from Nebraska, and we figured, we screwed up and we couldn't get there. And so it was very, very cool to kind of have a storm that we were on that not a lot of people were on. In fact, I think only one other person might have been on this storm. So that was nice. So, and I like her treatment. I know it was Nina. So I like her treatment here because I did a shot in the middle of the road, but I always like different perspectives. And this is, a pano, and didn't necessarily have to be in the middle. And I like what they did here. So
I like the colors, and again, we're seeing consistency and quality and approach, and I think all of that is evident here.
Yeah. Okay, we will go to our last one, and this one is also lovely. I think what I like about this one is a lot of these, for me, obviously a lot of the photographers that enter this category are heavily either based in the United States or fly over and do a lot of photography in the United States. I like that a lot of this is from, I'm going to say France area, right, Dennis?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I just appreciate it because it's tough, to find that consistency, and there's obviously a reason people travel to the United States every year because it's so condensed with storm season, and you can get such variety in a short amount of time. So that's what I appreciate, I think, out of this one. But also, again, Jen, you can probably talk about it, but the consistency with the editing and the style.
Yeah, I just can't stop staring at number 3.
Yeah.
That. I know I'm supposed to talk about the set, but like that. I don't know how many of you watching have been in this position, to like how deep of a bright slice that RFD cut is, just so intense, and the big bowl and the rain starting to wrap around, just like, oh wow, there are so many cool things about that photo.
I am terrified a little bit of looking at this photo, and I don't know what storm this was. It was in May 21st. I can't decide if it's the Iowa day that I was on, because I'm like not remembering dates anymore. But it feels like the Iowa day. But if it was, these storms were moving really fast, 55 miles an hour. So anyway, this is a terrifying spot. It looks like it's going to be going right at the camera or moving across the road, down the road. I mean, am I wrong? It's probably going more to the right because all these people are lined up on the road there. And if it was going towards the road, they would all be getting big time hurt. So either way, this is a very close spot to be.
Yeah.
And
but for
this one is, I'm sorry, it's on 14 millimeters. It's even crazier.
Going back to the portfolio as a whole,
Yes.
And, you know, talking about the editing, I think that what's interesting about this photographer is that there's such a well managed balance between the shadows and the highlights. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, several photographers ago, that was super moody. I mean, underexposed. The treatment is so deep and dark. There's not a lot of highlight action happening here, and there's a lot of highlight action happening here, but there's also a lot in those shadows, and some of it is reserved in the shadows and some of it is brought out. So I feel like there's a lot of intentionality in managing that span that really contributes to the voice that this photographer has throughout their portfolio. So kudos.
Absolutely. I agree with all that. It has the one we talked about in I forget which category, it was lightning photo of the year, one of them, but the same, like the style with the tones and the moodiness and the balance between those shadows and highlights. It's just, this one is just, it looks like a painting or something. So really cool. Great portfolio. Thanks to all the photographers who entered. Really, I would say maybe one of the strongest overall that we've had, like from 1 through 10. And we even had, you know, legendary Tim Baca decide to retire from entering this year. And so he didn't even enter, and it feels like it was even, you know, stronger. A few other people didn't as well. So really cool. Great work by everybody. It's going to be very tough to narrow it down to a winner, and almost kind of sucks because I feel like people had spectacular years, and we have our work cut out for us. We have a lot of voting to do, and it's going to be excruciating. So thank you all for entering. Good luck getting to the finalist round, and we'll see you down the road.